Hello. I think we're live, guys.
We're live. We're live.
Finally, okay.
I think we're finally live, Paul.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry about that. Well, it's better. At least I'm here.
Yeah,
So normally I've already walked off by now. So
you have.
Doing good so far. So welcome everybody to the weekly live WordPress WP. Shouldn't say we can't call ourselves WordPress News, can we? I'd say WP Builds live weekly WordPress news. And today I'm filling in for Nathan, who has gone on a surprise holiday. So that's all nice, isn't it?
You noticed that what's actually happened is that Nathan was in north of England in the storms, and now is in Wales, and the storms are following him. He should have learned from Jonah and the Bible. It's about time to chuck him off the boat to save the rest of us.
Yeah.
He chucked himself out.
Yeah, chucked himself out so we can all survive. Yeah. Thank you, Nathan.
I hope he's all right.
What a huge sacrifice.
Yeah. He's good like that. So anyway, I'm going to try and introduce everybody today. And so I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, right. Okay, just getting my pointy finger going here. So it's me today, Paul Lacey, and we have a new guest today, Clev Wong. Is that right?
Well, I'm not big on pronouncing the name anyway.
I like that.
Call me anything you want.
Clev, I've known you for a couple of years now, at least. So if you want to give yourself a quick introduction.
Well, hi everyone. Not sure if you know me. If you've seen me before, so I run a company there. We do manage IT and cybersecurity. So essentially, we kind of manage computer service and websites for any of our businesses and our clients. And if you need help in any way, feel free to reach out to any one of them, and they can reach me, and I'll help you out.
Cool, thanks, mate. And then going clockwise, Vito Peleg. Never heard of you.
First time on the show. I'm Vito. I'm from WP Feedback. We help WordPress professionals fix communications with their clients and among each other through our new platform that you're all invited to join.
Awesome. And down below, we have Leo Mindel.
Thank you, Paul. Leo Mindel. I'm the founder of a digital sports agency, Sotic. We help governing bodies and federations deliver online using WordPress. So that will include the World Sailing at the Olympics this year, assuming the Olympics is going ahead. They've already just moved some of the test events. And this year's Six Nations, which is happening at the moment, all of that is running on WordPress.
Nice.
And Paul's died, hasn't he?
Nice. Well, we're going to jump straight in. I don't know if the YouTube link, the WordPress wpbuilds.com/live is actually working today. So I think that means we might not have the live comments coming in that we can put on the screen. So might just have to read them and read them out.
Well, it's live on YouTube, but I don't know about.
Maybe no one said anything yet.
It's live on YouTube. It's live on Facebook, but the comments aren't appearing in here for some reason.
Oh, cool. Any comments in there yet at all?
There are some comments in Facebook. So Andrew Palmer is watching. Pisha is watching. Says hi, Clev. And Todd reckons that Nathan is also Jonah, and it's time to kick him over the side.
There's some comments on YouTube as well.
There you go.
Works fine. Yeah,
Peter, thank you. Thank you for confirming. Okay, so it looks like we can share the comments that come through on YouTube, and there's Elliot as well there. So brilliant. Let's see if we can show that one as well.
Yeah, cool. They're working on.
All right, so we may as well jump straight into the news. I'll share one of my screens at the moment. Okay, so this is the this week's news items that Nathan has put together for us, and we're going to begin with this one, WordPress core, which is WordPress 5.4 beta is ready for testing and feedback. So if anyone has, this article doesn't really go into too much detail about exactly what is in this version of WordPress 5.4 beta, other than it tells you that it's covering pretty much the last 10 or so major Gutenberg plugin updates. So for anyone who doesn't know, the Gutenberg plugin is now separate from the block editor, And the new features that tend to come into WordPress core tend to start off in the Gutenberg plugin, get tested there, and then some of those that get accepted end up into WordPress core. So, but you can find out from this particular article if you follow the link. If you click on the top link there, which is from the WordPress Tavern news item, you can see a list of all the updates. So there's things like new blocks, social links and buttons, new color options, tools for adding feature images within the latest block. So you can see pretty much a whole list of all the things that are on there if you click through from the WordPress Tavern article through to the one that's on WordPress.org. So the beta's out, so you can check it out if you're into that sort of thing. Or I imagine that we'll be getting that. It says it's slated for release on March 31st. So March 31st is when we should be seeing that in our update list for our plugins. So that's the first one. Anything to say on that, guys, at all?
First of all, I like the idea that they brought in this little wizard on, this is something that more and more plugins are walking towards. And I think it's kind of trying to bridge the gap of what other CMSs out there are doing, that you have a flow, that when you install something, you just go through the steps, you end up with a result. In WordPress, often it's not the case. Often they just throw you in there, and then you need to explore, figure out what's going on. I see how this, and we see it through our tool as well, how it kind of makes sense when you're updating on an ongoing basis and doing a lot of changes. But once in a while, you got to put a little stop to it to make sure that people know what you built throughout for the past few months or so. So it feels like this is the step that they gave here, just to kind of introduce that experience and reduce a little bit of the shock that sometimes happens when someone is going into their blog after 6 months or something, and then they see that the entire interface changed. So at least here there is some kind of a little welcome message to walk you through it.
Yeah, it will save me a lot of time because, I've not done those messages to all of my clients telling them, hey, there's this new editor in here or anything. And so from time to time, I get a message saying, I think the website's broken. Everything looks really weird in here. And somehow they've ended up switching over to the block editor or create a new post. So just this thing just saying, welcome to the block editor right in your face, you can't miss it. So... well, it could have been there a while ago, but I'm glad it's there now. So it's definitely good to see them thinking like product owners as well, because you'd expect this on products and stuff and SaaS products, and whereas with WordPress, like you say, stuff just appears, and then unless you knew about it in the community, you wouldn't know. So anything else on that, guys?
No,
nothing for me.
Nope. Cool. Yeah, it's usually a bit of a quiet one. The WordPress core updates. We're skipping community to come back to that one later because there's some big stories in community at the moment, and we're going to jump over to a couple of items around Gutenberg blocks. We've got two articles. One is about a bulk converter plugin for converting classic content into the block editor, and then there's another update to talk about as well, which is the editor's kit, which has got a new feature, which is the first premium add-on for editor's kit from Jeffrey Charandang, who gives a lot away for free in the core plugin as well. But Leo, did you want to speak about this converting?
So
blocks
I think
plugin?
the first one is on the converter, which I think is really interesting because I feel there will be a lot of business over the coming year or two of people requesting from agencies to convert their sites from classic to the block editor, moving their whole of their content across, and there's going to be a lot of requirements for that, as there is for anything when you have these major changes. So it's really good to start seeing tools that enable that to happen, tools to move. I mean, one of the things I always get asked by clients when they say, well, why do you use WordPress? And I said, well, at the moment WordPress is the number one CMS out there. They said, well, what will happen if something else takes over? I said, well, I can guarantee the first thing they'll do is create the converter from whatever the new thing from WordPress to the new one. So it's good to start seeing this happening internally as well. So they appreciating the fact that we do need to migrate sites and move them from the classic editor to the block editor. That was my first thing on that. Vito or Clev, do you have anything on that? No.
Go ahead, Cliff.
Well, not much from me. I mean, I'm just glad that there is something that's gonna help our clients eventually transition because, well, it's only a matter of time before this happens anyway. So I would presume this would be one of the better ways instead of, tearing your hair out trying to figure out how to move all of your content from probably from one place to another. So yeah, this is definitely
Yeah,
something
I
to
think
look out for and improve the workflow that you have.
I haven't used this, so I can't tell. But some of the things I would be looking to see is that when you've got traditional pages where you say, for example, halfway through it, you've got a video that you've put in as a YouTube clip, or you've got something else, to see if it converts it into individual blocks so that you can use those as well. Because that's the way that we all build our sites at the moment is, we're using one big block for the content. And so it'll be interesting to see how this works. So that's good to see. The second one, which you talked about there, Paul, is the addition to adding in additional features and functionality into the block editor. And I was saying to Paul before, I remember when we moved from very old editors to things like CK editor, that you're suddenly starting to expand what you can actually do. And this is really good to see that the block editor in itself is getting increase, things that are adding to the block editor, adding into that functionality, so that we can all take advantage of it, because I think that's really where we're going to start seeing things. And I think the other thing, although neither of these two talk about it, but I've talked to Nathan in the past about, is that we have to remember that one of the reasons all of this is coming about is that we want to see WordPress used in a headless environment, not just for websites, but also for apps. And the minute you start talking about that, then you start looking, suddenly the whole concept of a block makes so much more sense, because you're going, I need to put this into another environment that maybe not, that isn't a web page. How do I make it so that these bits work together? And seeing things like this start making me feel much more comfortable that there is a roadmap to go there.
That's really cool to think about it from this angle. I would think when it comes to old pages, if we're going back to that kind of previous guy continuing to hear, is personally, I don't see the need of transferring things from the old blog setup to Gutenberg. I guess for people that built the pages with just the classic editor, but I think I've always been, just the posts are done with the editor and the pages are done with whatever builder is fashionable at the time. So that kind of transition would be interesting for me to see, like from some of the builders into Gutenberg, if anything. Inside the post, I would actually try and stay away and say like, all right, from now, we're using Gutenberg. Everything that was before that will still work, just exactly the same way that it did until now. But just now, we just have a little more functionality. So I don't see much use, at least for our clients or our previous clients, through this tool, unless it's for pages or stuff like that.
I think
I can see. Go on.
I can see there's lots of, there are different cases in different places for things like this, and it's like, it's it will be for posts as well. Posts are going to be blocks. Everything's going to be blocks. So and when you've got a site that's got 100,000 pages on it, or posts, whichever way you want to look at it, you want to bring over as much of that content. And when you start worrying about,
why can't you just do it? You don't have to change it. It will work anyway, no?
Yeah, but it'll come over as a one block. It'll come over as one block, but you're not taking advantage of the fact that there could be different elements on that page that would be a need to be able to use them in a different environment. That's where it's coming in.
I can see from agency point of view. Imagine, government websites. Like you come across some government or those sort of websites, coming across really poorly made websites with really old page builders and stuff. And I can see that there might be a kind of stream of jobs become available to hire agencies to make the websites a much better workflow for the companies that are trying to run those websites by stripping out old bloated page builders and switching to a block-based environment once this all matures really well. It's mature now, to be honest. I think that if you really knew how to structure this really well in the old way when we used to with advanced custom fields and stuff before we had page builders, that you could make a really good workflow for people who were just content adders within companies. Yeah, just to also highlight as well, what's quite nice about this plugin is it does convert things to individual blocks on bulk. So rather than just straight into the classic block, which I don't know if anyone uses that, but you convert it to the classic block, then you convert that to blocks, and you, for some reason, for me, I always have like another classic block above and below. I'm not sure why that is. Clever, yeah, do you get that as well?
Yeah.
It's obviously a bug. I should report it, to be honest, but I don't do that kind of thing. I'm too lazy.
Thank you for contributing.
If you haven't been on before, then we always have to ask you: are you using the block editor as your default user now, or are you sticking with Classic for the moment?
Well, we have started using it, and we don't really see a huge difference in terms of transitioning, I guess, because we have more or less gotten used to the fact that we have a couple of these tools that we're using, and we are able to essentially still work with what we have, and we encourage our clients to actually move away from the classic editor into the Gutenberg one, so that we can have a some time so that we can actually transition in.
Yep. So you're in the process, sort of, in a way, of moving from one to the other. That's where I'm at the moment. I'm discovering things and finding out that sometimes I really like it. Just to highlight Jeffrey Charandang's plugin, because a minute ago this wasn't loading. It's not your website's fault, Jeffrey. It's my internet seems to be loading like dial-up at the moment because I think I'm streaming. But look at this. This is awesome. Look at this typography control. And then look at these pre-made font combinations, which are, I mean, obviously if you're on a brand, then you don't want to be using those. But if you're kind of just experimenting to see what looks nice in a post, then that's really cool. So yeah, great job, Jeffrey, with this new update. A thing popped up a minute ago offering me a 10% discount. So it looks like if you go to the website, you can get a discount on that in some way. So anything else to add on the blocks at all, guys?
No.
Nope. Okay, so while we're talking about these new plugins as well, there's a few. We may as well stick with the plugins for the moment. There's a couple of quick ones just to run through. Fluent Forms update. So I use Fluent Forms. I've got a feeling, Clev, you probably bought Fluent Forms. Did you?
I did not.
You did not?
I did not.
So I know Clev mainly through the world of buying lifetime deals on tools and stuff like that. So I'm really shocked that you didn't buy that one. Is that because you bought Ninja Forms already or something?
Well, we have actually successfully been with Ninja Forms for quite a while. You are right. So we don't see a need for us right now to actually move on to Fluent Forms. And although we do support Fluent Forms, well, I guess right now it's more of mental support than anything else. Well, I mean, we are comfortable with Ninja Forms, and again, we don't see a huge need to replace that for now because not a lot of our clients have very demanding, I would say, forms and its conditional logics. So we don't necessarily need to make a purchase for Fluent Forms to ideally help them, I would say, create something that they want. So because right now Ninja Forms does already complete the life cycle of whichever they need. So that's what we're sticking to. And until we see a need for that, I'm pretty sure we can still get a subscription, and that would definitely provide more support to the team than just purchasing it right now and then shelving it and then using it years later. At least that's from us. Yeah.
You were very sensible. I mean, we use Gravity Forms and it does everything I need, but I still bought it. So that's
really. So I got stuck with Gravity Forms from years ago, and well, I love this plugin, but they just kind of like sorry,
Fluent or Gravity you love?
Gravity. We've been using it for years, and I've learned WordPress through Gravity and all the concepts of conditional logics and functions and custom fields and all of that. I was exposed to it through trying to figure out how to do crazy stuff with that particular plugin. I'm sure that there are other solutions that not there are, but I know there are, but like that, the other solutions have already passed them in terms of at least usability and UI. We're used to writing CSS around the gravity fields, so we don't feel that as an disadvantage anymore. Just part of the workflow when you create a form. But yeah, seeing stuff like this, like chain select and the custom fields and post creation and all this kind of stuff, makes me feel very optimistic about finally someone really stepping up the game on the forms.
Yeah, they've got lots of good integrations, and Zapier's in there out the box. So I think
Nice.
it's a good one for, and they auto advanced post creation. You can do all this stuff with Gravity Forms, as you know, but it's you have to
Work
know
for
more
it.
in a way.
Yeah.
I think you would. So Gravity Forms has probably got hundreds of thousands of paying users and everything. I guess it doesn't necessarily need growth that much, but I think if you were a beginner and you weren't sure where to go, I don't think you would choose Gravity Forms.
I wouldn't nowadays.
Not now, but I'm sticking with Gravity Forms myself. Like Clev's sticking with Ninja Forms. You stick with what you know. So
Right.
awesome. Okay. Anything else on that one at all, or should we move to the next one? Nope. We'll move to the next one. Cool. BlogVolt, also known as Malcare, have got a major makeover to their dashboard. I actually use Malcare, so I've logged in. So I've actually got myself logged in here, so you can kind of see. So if you haven't used Malcare before, then you wouldn't probably know that this looks different than normal. One of the really cool things you've got now is this initial dashboard that tells you some of the different plugins that you can update. And then when you do an update like this, you can choose to have the enable visual regression on there.
Nice.
And as you do the updates, it'll do it, and then you'll see 2 screenshots showing the before and after the plugin update, which is really cool. And it's full size screenshots as well. And then what it shows you on there is it shows you kind of a difference where there's something different, and it'll flag up if there's something to check. And sometimes it's just that the chat bot has opened on one of them and you check it and you're like, oh, everything looks good. So, but in other cases, it will totally show you if something has completely gone disastrously wrong. And then you can just revert that and put it straight back in. If we take a look at the
how do they point out changes?
We'll see if it does it in time. Let's have a look. So I don't think it probably won't, in the time that we're doing this, it probably won't show it. But if it does, then we can have a quick look and see but it comes up and you see little small ones, and then you can hover over those a little bit and then click on them, and you see that in big mode, and then the other one. In terms of the actual dashboard itself, there's just everything is a lot cleaner, and they've added some really cool reports. So the reporting is much better now as well. So personally, I'm a long time managed WP user. I've never switched to main WP, but honestly, with this update, it feels like I don't necessarily need managed WP anymore. I've been looking at Malcare for a while, and I use it. There's 21 sites on this account, and I've got 15 on another, 15 on another, and 15 on another from when they're on AppSumo way back. And I've never dived in and used it as the main place to update all the plugins and all that sort of stuff. But with this latest update, it really feels up there with managed WP and main WP for that side of things. So I don't know, do any of you guys use Malcare or BlogVolt?
Not yet.
We use managed WP for all our stuff.
Right.
Managed WP, yeah.
Well, so we do use Malcare on some of our test sites, and particularly not excited about the UI UX changes yet, until they could do away with that particular screen where you have the entire pop-up coming up telling you, okay, we have done with this entire thing, and we are not really sure if we click away from that, if the processes was to continue. This is something that we are testing out in main WP. We are testing that out, although we are using managed WP. But main WP also has this when it comes down to updates. So it kind of has a window that pops up, and you kind of don't know if the processes will still continue if you actually click away or open another window. So that's something that these two companies have in common right now, and hopefully they will watch this episode and see the feedback. But then again, again, we don't. I mean, we do run website security, so it's good to see what our competitors are up to, in a sense, and
Yeah.
we are glad that they are making strides in helping improve the experience as well. But again, I don't see this as a huge replacement for main WP or managed WP within the next couple of months, unless they ramp up the development for. Did they, if I remember correctly, if they bought over a company that also does, WordPress management or WordPress website management? I can't remember the name right now, and if they are the company that bought over the company, so yeah, so it's definitely something to look out for later in 2020.
So there's a
Yeah.
couple of quick comments because as we can't
So,
seem to get the
Clev,
comments from
does your company have a security platform?
We don't use plugins for our security solution. Actually, we access the website via
Oh, have we lost
SFTP.
Leo for a minute?
Oh,
right.
oh, sorry, Leo.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to just say there was a couple of comments coming in
Yeah.
from Facebook, but I'll do them after you finished, Kev.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. So we don't actually use plugins, like I mentioned. I'm just gonna quickly go over again. So it's basically access through SFTP, the same way we do backups as well. So it doesn't really increase the server load when we run malware scans. From the basic tier that we have, it's every 12 hours, and then 6 followed by 4. So you don't really need to even log into the dashboard. So we don't actually give our end clients a dashboard they log in with. So because a lot of the processes have been automated, so there's no one click to kind of remove malware. It's all done automatically, unless you have something that you are a little bit unsure of which, and then you kind of reach out to our live chat or via our help desk, and then you talk to our team, and we'll get that sorted out for you.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
I see.
Cool. Leo, you had some points.
Andrew Palmer said that
I think
he
we're losing you
uses
there, Clev.
Waffle
Can you hear me?
exclusively, and
Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
Great. Can everyone hear me?
I
Okay.
think something is up with the you
Yep.
have some
Awesome.
yes, but you have some massive latency.
you have massive
Yeah.
latency. You're behind all of us.
Yes.
And Todd is saying that he. Sorry, I'm now lost my train of thought. He said, "Come over to the dark side with main WP." And before that, just going back on something else, Jeffrey Caradang just thanks us for mentioning it, and he was a little bit worried
Nice.
about the gifts as well.
Awesome.
We're still here.
We're still here, but
Yes,
Paul,
just in case.
this is
Closing.
the third time that Paul's taken this show. I think we'd be better off with a puppet of Nathan. And then,
Right. Cool. So, yeah. Can
he's
you
going to
hear
answer
me
that
now?
in about 3 minutes.
Yeah, he's watching the next week's show.
Welcome back from the future then.
That's it. Do you want to answer the last question, Paul?
Can you hear us?
Oh,
Oh,
he's up.
and it's gone.
Yeah, okay. Well,
Right,
it's up to you,
okay.
Leo. Take over.
I'll take over. He looks like his internet's died.
Yeah.
The main thing that was next up, I'll cover this thing, Stock Pack. There was a Nathan put in something about Stock Pack, a free images to your media library. I don't know if you saw that one, so that you can add media into your media library, and they've got a free deal and they've got a price one as well. For myself personally, we also have a plugin. We use a lot of Getty stuff, so we have Getty licenses, and Getty has a similar plugin. What do you use? Do either of you use anything for putting images into your libraries from external places?
I never even looked into this functionality before.
Yeah, usually I think the team just gets it from deposit photos or wherever they get it from. I really have no clue.
Yeah,
I'm not following on that.
Canva or somewhere else similar to that. There's lots of places
Exactly.
to get there, but it's one that Nathan mentioned, StopPack. So that's that. Then
I see.
I'm waiting for him to come back, but the big story that we'll start on it was the word Camtasia. We're going to have to
Sure.
talk about this and cover this story. So cancelled, 10 days out, cancelled. I think there's the political side, which I know that a few people were very unhappy about the political side of how it got cancelled. Hi, Paul. We're just
I
starting on the
tried
word
so
Camtasia.
hard this week.
I
I
know.
really tried so
I
hard.
know.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just a
Yeah,
good thing
sorry.
this isn't a technology podcast, isn't it?
Ooh,
Yeah.
that would
I'm
suck.
not really
Help
confident.
technology services.
What are we talking about? Word Camtasia.
We just started, and
Guys into Asia, yeah.
there's been a little bit of backlash politically about the fact that it got cancelled just 10 days out and how. And that's as far as I got.
Got it. Okay. So, Clev,
Mhm.
you were thinking of actually going. You had you got a ticket?
Well, I was not able to. Looking back right now, kind of glad.
Yeah.
We were gonna go dip our toes in with a low tier sponsorship this time, because it's happening in Asia. So that would have been great exposure for us if we were present at the event. That would help, I would say, definitely in terms of increasing awareness of a plugin-less, I would say, plugin-less website security solution for the WordPress guys and most of the website developers and designers out there. But yeah, uh, frankly, quite surprised that no one else actually came in to save the day until recently, and I believe Vito will probably would be in a better position to let us know how that particular situation is.
Yeah, because the thing was is that there was not everyone was happy about this getting cancelled, and then because of the way some of the politics with WordPress that I think I heard you talking about a minute ago, Leo, as I've managed to just about rejoin, is that when something happens in WordPress, whether it's pushing the block editor to WordPress on the beginning of a brand new year when everyone's worried about stuff and clients' websites falling to pieces, or whether it's that you can or you can't call your website WordPress or WP or whatever it might be, or one plugin can put this in the administration area whereas Jetpack can do this. So there's always kind of
That was standard.
yeah, there was always stuff around that. And then when this event was cancelled, I did see some comments on social about whether or not this was Matt just Matt Mullenweg just doing what he wanted and deciding that he didn't fancy it and not going on. And so I saw some of the people that we knew, that some of our friends commenting about that, and then there was some people in support of that, and then other people were in support of that it was the right thing to do to cancel it. I think then after that has been cancelled, you've seen quite a lot of events getting cancelled around the world, some major international events in different parts of the world, not just over in Asia. So it seems to me, I mean, my vote would be that it was the right thing to do. That's my personal opinion. And if I was, when I put myself in the shoes of different people, like the different stakeholders, so you've obviously got the sponsors and all that sort of stuff. Then you've got the attendees, and I think those are the people who are going to be more split on whether it should be cancelled or not. And then I was trying to put myself in the shoes of like a volunteer who was, not getting paid to go to this event, and then potentially putting yourself at risk. And if you've got family, they might, you just watch the news, don't you? And you can see there's some kind of threat in some way. And you can imagine people's families saying, I don't want you to go. But, you kind of, so for a lot of people, it might have, who were volunteering and working there, it might have been a bit of a relief for them. And, so I think it's one of those things that only time will tell, but they've gone on the side of caution, which I think was the right thing to do personally, looking at what all the other events have done.
Yeah.
Don't know what you guys think about it.
I think from my view, the first thing is on the actual making the decision. I think there's two issues here. Making the decision, or as who put out the announcement, has caused some issues with certain people. I understand that, but as the face of the organization, it sits on Matt's shoulders. and good news and bad news unfortunately sits at the top, and he has to take it. And and if he takes personal flack over it, fine. I think he stood up and was accountable, and that's what you have to do in that situation. So that's one side. As for actually the decision, as you've said, Paul, I absolutely agree with you. You look around and you look at things, you look at the complaints that happened last year when one of the matches in the Rugby World Cup got cancelled, and people say, well, weren't they ready for storms? It's like, yeah, but it was actually the largest storm that hit that country in X years. And it's just like, you just can't deal with this. And unfortunately, as I was saying to you earlier, Paul, if you went there, came home and you caught it, wouldn't know that you'd had it, but it probably wouldn't affect you personally, but then you saw your elderly grandmother and it was much worse for her, where'd you draw the line? So I think they did the right thing, right decision.
Yeah.
I think that in terms of the decision, yes, it was definitely the right one. Not necessarily because anything is really happening there at the scale that that is being presented in the media, but because there is some like this level of hysteria around this thing that just puts the entire event at with a big question mark. So I think that they just made the decision as fast as possible. It was just a week before, because the whole thing just started blooming like 2-3 weeks before the decision was made. So it was just like an incubation period to see if this is actually going anywhere. So I get it, and I have no kind of no criticism or no kind of doubt that this was the right decision. Even though I lost a lot of money on this, we had a full-on. So what you're talking about, like from the different stakeholders' point of view.
Yeah.
I was a sponsor, and I had a company retreat designed around this, flying 10 people into the event. We had a booth over there, so we already have everything printed. I have a bunch of stickers here on the table that is just waiting for the event that will never happen. So now it put us in kind of like a spin to try and figure out where we're going to get the refunds and all of this kind of stuff. There was a really great initiative. We didn't apply because I'm sure that there are people that need it more than me. But there was a great initiative by WordPress and by GoDaddy that joined up forces and created a bit of a fund to help finance a lot of the people that lost money through this decision. That was great. And but when it comes to how it was handled from that point on, and all of this kind of like you're saying, with those, some people can do that, other people can never do that. It's just a matter of how close are you to the plate. I don't know if that's the term in English, but if the closer you are to the plate, the more stuff you can do around a topic. And here, to me, it was very evident. We tried to do something pretty nice. Jan just joined our team just a couple of weeks ago, and he did the biggest WordPress summit ever last year, like 4 times bigger than the next one after it. Like no dispute that this was a huge advance to the community as a whole, the fact that what he built last year, and based on that kind of success and based on that activity that he did last year, we wanted to bring people's spirits up. So we started reaching out to some speakers, and to see if they want to do this on board. I was thinking from the point of view of, listen, this event didn't pan out. Fine, it happens. Events get canceled. Like Leo is saying, there's a storm, there's an earthquake, there is zombies are knocking at the door. So you gotta make a decision sometime. But now what? There's still people that are expected this. I was really looking forward to seeing a lot of our friends and just doing this kind of activity. More than that, there are literally thousands and thousands of people around the world, specifically in Asia, where this event was supposed to happen, that are now quarantined. They are stuck inside their flats, inside their apartments, and they can't leave, they can't go outside. So the natural thing to do is, all right, they can't come to us, so we'll come to them through some kind of an online activity. And we tried to kind of work with this with the organizers, being a sponsor, of the event. We already show that we are here to support the event, and being a sponsor in WordCamp doesn't really worth much. It's just a nice thing that you do to keep these events running. Yeah. Anyway, it didn't pan out. They came out with a very straight message that just created all kinds of complications around that. I even heard from some of the speakers that some people reached out to them and told them don't collaborate with them because the presentation that you did and will never be out was meant for WordCamp and not for anyone else, completely forgetting that the person volunteered to create a presentation. I did it myself. I volunteered a few times to speak at WordCamps happily, volunteer my time, volunteer my funds to fly into different places. Leo and I did it together in Dublin just a few months ago. And that just kind of like flew out the window as soon as they couldn't do it. You know what I mean? It's either we do it or no one does it.
I think
That's
where
what annoyed me.
I think where it's going to be interesting, Vito, is it's all still a bit too raw. It's too recent. It's the first time or for a while, and
Sure.
policies and things. I do agree that they need to come out with something. What I noticed what you did, and a couple of others were talking about a virtual summit, and
Nothing happened.
They need to have some contingency, because you're absolutely right. The other thing is you can't sit there and say, well, we'll hold that talk until next year, because we're in too fast a moving world. What you said 3 weeks ago is irrelevant. In fact, what Paul says most of the time is irrelevant. But you've got to be able to move
why would you stop people from doing something nice and try to make it seem like they're doing it from the wrong decisions?
I think they will come out with, we'll see. We'll learn, we grow up, we learn from these experiences. But that's what has to happen. And it's a shame. It's a real shame. But as we said, it's the right decision. And whether it could have been done earlier, maybe not. But the media has turned this into a just something that's rolling down the hill at 1,000 miles an hour, and you just
that I agree. Like there was no other decision to be made here. I wish it was it would happen a little sooner, or even a little later, if there was actually official decisions that will allow people to get refunds a lot easier. But
do we all get a free sticker?
You get it free. I already gave you a T-shirt last week. Where is it?
There you go. Where's the T-shirt? You sent me the wrong size, Vito.
Really?
Yeah. It's nice, but I'm not that small. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you for the nice thought.
But
anyway.
My concern was not about the constellation. My concern was from a broader point of view, connecting to what Paul was talking about. That happens. We're seeing this happen now on a monthly basis from different angles, and how some can do something, others can't do something. What are the rules? Like what can you do? What can you not do? That's seem a bit unclear. I'm very energetic, and I just want to do more. I just want to do stuff. And it's kind of annoying where you get when you get these irrational blocks by ghosts, because you don't even know who to talk to or who to blame.
No, there is definitely an seemingly impenetrable. Well, I say definitely feels like there's an impenetrable level of gatekeepers to do anything on the official. And you wouldn't even have to call it WordPress. You can just call it WP or whatever. But I don't think someone should, whatever the situation is, I don't think that it's WordPress's role or Automatic's role or whoever these ghosts are to reach out to individual speakers and tell them that they shouldn't get involved in something that is just a positive reaction. I mean, you and Jan would have nailed this. You would have done it, and it would have been really good.
We had it ready. It was just a matter of rolling it out. We had everything planned out. We have screenshots talking to this. We have presentations. He already did it. It was just taking the plan that he already executed last year and just running through it.
Yeah, that's it. I think there's some stuff needs to come out in the wash in the next 12 months, maybe, because WordPress is taking so long. I mean, it's moving so fast in this with people like Automatic getting all this money from Salesforce or selling this chunk off over here. And I think that the more that kind of stuff happens, the more that people are going to be questioning more and more this kind of thing. I've heard it so many times. I mean, you definitely would have nailed it. It's like in my life, every other week I've got a new thing, right? I bought an Oculus Go the other day, the VR headset. Sometimes I want to be a magician, and I bought a pack of cards or something like that. And and my energy for that's the level I'm at. But I know with you, Vito, your wife says, looks at you and goes, "Oh, your new thing is you want to create an international conference this week," and you'll actually do it.
Right.
Or buy a house at the weekend.
Yeah,
why not?
I bought a house just 2 days ago.
Yeah, it's my new thing. I'm going to buy a house, or next week I'm going to release a brand new product, or replace Facebook or whatever with it.
Play devil's advocate on that, Paul.
So yeah,
is that Vito could do that, but does everybody else, and is that the right decision?
It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter if it's me or anyone else.
It does because I sat there. I went. I was involved as an organizer in WordCamp London, which is a fairly big WordPress beta. WordCamp. However, when you compare that to the scale of Europe and the scale of what was put in place, and the level of quality at Europe was just nowhere near what we had done, nowhere near. And I think the idea was that Asia was going to be somewhere in between those two. And I think that probably they're sitting there going, whoa, we haven't, I don't know, maybe they have plans for doing it all online and they're dealing with it now. Maybe actually there has to be
an official announcement saying that there's been talks about online summits.
Okay.
We're not doing anything like this.
Okay.
But if you do want an online summit, they recommended as a competitor, basically a new competitor of ours. So they did endorse someone that doesn't happen now. That happens like in a while from now.
Well, maybe what this is going to be a jolt to is to say that there needs to be an online summit running at the same time as these big ones, and maybe there has to be a formulation of how those two things work together, because it's not really apart. Unless you're a big agency, you are not going to get to Asia, Europe, and America every year, but you want to be able to attend at least virtually the other two that you are not in your region. That would be a really great thing to do. But it's just finding that level. And I think out of these sort of things, you get the right way forward. Commenting on what Andrew's just said there, and this is actually something also I find very important. All the people who actually, everybody's wanted to get their insurance back or wants to get their money back, etc., etc. But the other side of the equation is the people who've lost out. All those people who booked, the hotel that booked rooms, the people who are running this, that, and the other. It's always sort of forgotten. When you have something like this, if this epidemic or whatever you want to call it continues, you are going to have things like airlines going out of business, and you're going to have things like hotels in various countries, because it'll be like, well, nobody's coming to book the hotel. We want all of our money back. And so the hotels sit there with empty rooms. They're not running on a mega profit. It's going to cost. And you're going to see right down to even a taxi driver sitting there at an airport going, I'm not actually going to earn any money. And that's what's going to, these things really do have a knock-on effect, that people go, well, I want my money back. You go, yeah, but actually your money was going to fund something else to spread wealth around. And it's these things can really, really badly affect stuff. But anyway, we're moving into politics.
Clev, one final note on that. You're in Singapore, is that right?
That's right.
What's the feel from businesses over in Singapore about things like major events and movement around for business events and stuff like that? Have you picked up any vibe?
Well, we are the government here, at least, I like to believe that they are the hub in the region when it comes down to trade or anything else, technology, and I think as a citizen here and in the region, I firmly believe that the situation can, well, can improve or it can worsen. I mean, right now I would expect it to worsen a little bit further before we are going to see any more improvements. If we are going to be basing on the statistics or I would say largely how things went with SARS and H1N1, we are looking at a lot more. Um,
And then it's gone.
yeah, and then it's gone because we are
Yeah.
looking at a situation whereby a higher temperature would actually, I would say, eliminate the virus. But I mean, we can't tell for sure right now. I mean, I'm not one of the people involved or follow the news here locally that much, and I think it's kind of depressing at the same time that you see these things happening at the very start of 2020. And for me, I was kind of taken aback when I heard that there was no uh, continuity plans in place for a lot of SMEs, even for WordCamp. In this case, for the Asia portion, that they are uh, what they wanted to make an inaugural, I would say, position on. Um, to be honest, I'm really just at a loss for words when it comes down to planning like this. This should have been something that was planned for and not having companies or organizations reacting to the entire situation. This is also how we educate a lot of our clients as well when it comes down to business continuity plans within a SME, within an NGO. You gotta have a backup
Yeah.
plan, and
That reminds me
Yeah.
of Lee Jackson's podcast just from last week. Was talking exactly about that, and he did a great job illustrating this because you always have to have an exit strategy. Like if I had the 4-minute latency on the broadcast, I would just flick on the device that I have back here, and then we have Wi-Fi 4G.
and there you go.
There you go. Isn't that
And
brilliant?
he was just talking about
So Vito's demonstrated the
Yeah.
yeah, that's it. That's
Just
it.
as you were talking about Wi-Fi and
And
4G,
Wi-Fi, you broke
Yeah.
it. You broke it.
that's always how it happens. Always.
Hey,
There you go.
Always.
I mean,
It says, "Oh, you're talking about me. I'll show you
was
now."
it Lee who was talking about contingencies and the roof blew off his office?
Yeah.
Exactly. And I last year I met a guy here in London that's what he does. He goes between like corporations and he's like a contingency expert. He goes in and builds full-on contingency plans for everything. Like some of the offices, the big offices, have another office that is just empty all year round with all of the devices, all of the computers. Every 2 years they clean it all out and bring in new devices, and it just sits there for years and years waiting for something to happen, and then they just all deploy. It's crazy.
I tell you though that
I don't. Sorry.
I was going to say that there's it doesn't always work that way. In fact, it can work completely differently. I've just sent you a link, Paul, for a podcast. 99% Invisible did something about cautionary tales, about why all of these things that you put in. Why the Oscars? Do any of you remember the Oscars where they read out the wrong name a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
Why it actually happens? You're going to have to copy the message across. That's it. There you go. And basically, it comes down to the fact that they had plans to stop it ever happening, and they put in redundancy, and then they went through all of this. And I'm not going to ruin it. You have to listen to it because it's like at the end of it, you'll go, you can't. The worst thing that happens in the world is putting in all of these, or can happen, is you put in all these safety measures to try and fix things to make sure it doesn't happen, and it's the safety measures that cause more trouble
because they didn't have this expert guy. They gotta bring in.
No, it's even worse.
Exactly.
It's even worse. It's even worse. It's really good. It's really good. There's some great comments in there. So please have a listen to that of 99% Invisible.
Nice.
Right, we've got some more items in the community about the cancellation of WordCamp Asia 2020. So it's definitely worth highlighting a few of those, because there was, as well as Vito trying to do what he was trying to do and got thwarted on that particular attempt, there was some other things that came out. So we had this Sending Love to WordCamp Asia. It was kind of like an open letter. As far as I know, it's from the organizers of WordCamp US and WordCamp Europe. I think, or was it just the Europe? And it was just a nice letter of support, just basically saying, I don't remember exactly what it says, but it's along the lines of, this has happened, but you'll be back. And I agree with that as well. I think that there's going to be a lot of positive energy for WordCamp Asia 2021. It's almost going to be the comeback tour sort of thing of the tour that never actually happened. When these unfortunate situations happen. So you can see all these different people who have organized WordCamps in Europe, and
it continues.
Yeah, lots of names in there, just basically sending their support. We also had this cancellation fee assistance. Now, it's interesting because this one wasn't as far as I know, this one still hasn't been cancelled by anybody in terms of.
No, this is going
Yeah,
strong.
this is going ahead, and then there's some other companies that have jumped in, and just to sort of fill people in on what this is, WordFence, the plugin WordFence, the security plugin, decided to put out a fund to help pay for money lost by people who had hotels cancelled, flights cancelled. Like Vito said, Vito, you lost a lot of money on this.
Yeah,
a lot of money. You're obviously not going to apply to this, so this is more for individuals, but you would have every right to apply to that. Anyone has got the right to apply to it. There was $10,000 put aside, and I think that, as far as I know, GoDaddy have put another 10,000 in.
Yes.
And am I right saying Yoast have put 10,000 in as well?
That I'm not sure.
Pretty sure Yoast have put. So some of those big names have put some in. So there's maybe $20,000 or $30,000 now available in this fund. I'm not sure I've not heard if Automatic have put anything in or anything like that. But this is another nice gesture. But obviously the politics didn't quite get in the way of this one. Whether that's because it saved Automatic a bunch of money.
Oh, I don't think it saved Automatic a bunch of money. But
why do you think so?
Because there would be pressure for them to put a fund out for people.
Okay.
So well, let that one go away. This is my conspiracy theory hat on here. But let's cancel Vito's event, because we can make money from our own version of that in 6 months' time or whatever.
Right. No,
so that's just not my.
I don't think I look. This is with any major thing like this. It is an opportunity for what is a very small amount for certain people to use as their spend on good things. I know, talking to some of the other charities are like going, if only we could have, if they were, we've been banging on for years, and this money just suddenly appears out the woodwork for this. But it's really difficult, when you play on the heartstrings of things like this. It's just a global story, so it's very easy to justify with your spend hat on where to spend money. So,
well done to WordFence for coming up with this idea. I think it does show that there is something a little bit special about the WordPress community. I'm pretty ignorant about other communities, whether all this would happen in a SaaS-based space or something like that. I'm sure in certain spaces it would, but it almost didn't surprise me that someone did this in the WordPress space.
I think it comes back to something you were saying earlier. I think Vito was saying about who is actually running events. So if you look at some of the other environments, so when I used to chair a user group in Microsoft, but Microsoft would pay a lot of the money. So really the costs of attending were different, and actually people would spend money on tickets. The WordPress community is very, very different. The very low prices that is charged, and the fact that you've got so many people who are volunteering. The other flip side of that coin is that's when this thing has to happen, because if it doesn't, everything is out of shoestring and it breaks. So it's sort of like other things where it's all big ticket pricing and things like that probably could afford this to drop. without it being too big. So it's different. Yeah.
Yep. Anything else anyone wants to add about the cancellation of WordCamp Asia? Is there any other stories that anyone's heard at all you'd want to bring up? No?
No, I think that's the game.
Nothing
Yeah,
for me.
it could be an
Andrew
ongoing
is
story.
mentioning something interesting here.
Mm.
He's saying in Facebook, it's a small dent in the 1.7 million needed. I don't know where the number came from, but that's interesting to know.
Mm. That's Andrew Palmer. So it's 1.7 million. Is that the estimated potential loss to companies and individuals from the event being cancelled, I suppose? $1.7 million perhaps. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's move on to... so if anyone has got some spare money that they didn't lose from going to WordCamp Asia, then there's a few
I was
deals.
supposed to be on a beach right now in Thailand with a drink in my hand.
So if you
We're
click
doing
your
it for you.
company retreat, your
I
company
do
retreat,
know that quite a few of the
No,
people.
the company retreat was starting yesterday. It
Yeah.
was supposed to start yesterday.
There are some of the companies, some of the people who are out there are still going out or taking holidays. So
Oh, that's actually a good point. If there are someone that is there and they happen to watch us now, there are a few meetups around this. Just search
Yeah.
Facebook for WordCamp Asia. In the for there's a new group that was forming. Oh yeah, this is exactly it. By Vova and by Kim from Vova from Freemius and Kim from MailPoet. They came together to create a small gathering for people that are already there.
yeah, and there's quite a few little gatherings going on, and hopefully they can, the word will get out, and they can start kind of joining up. So I think there's definitely something going to happen, but it's just a shame we're not getting the whole event. But okay, so let's take a look at these deals that we've got. Let's have a look. We've got the WP Data Tables lifetime deal. So this is an AppSumo deal. Let's have a look. I don't know if anyone's got this, but it's a plugin that allows you to create tables in the back end of WordPress and do clever things with them, whether you're displaying posts in them or connecting things up to a Google spreadsheet or something like that. It's also got a cool thing around charts, so you can put data in and then output it as charts like Gantt charts and pie charts and all that sort of stuff. So that's one of the deals that's available on AppSumo at the moment for $49 for life. Another AppSumo deal at the moment, Wishlist Member. I think this one was mentioned last week as well. Membership plugin, which is similar to Restrict Content Pro or MemberPress or something like that. So there's a lifetime deal on this one. I'm slightly suspicious of some of the reviews that have come out about this plugin at the moment, because 1 minute, a few months ago, it was a bit of a tired plugin with a bad UI and it hadn't kept up pace with everyone else, and now it's an amazing plugin that's the best one out there, and you should definitely buy it from my affiliate link. So just it kind of highlights the affiliate space kind of articles that you see out there. So always check things for yourself and see. No doubt, if this is the plugin that does something that you need and you haven't got one of the other solutions already for a membership site, it's definitely worth a look because it's on a special offer and it is a company that's been around for 10 years. And that's one of the criticisms, that the UI doesn't seem to have changed in around 10 years as well. So that's one of the deals available. There is another one mentioned here. I'm sure there's tons more. Apparently Ocean WP have got 28% off, not 27.85%, 28% off Ocean WP with the code OceanHeart2XVAL2020. So super easy to remember. 28% off Ocean WP with code OCEANHEART2XVAL2020. No problem. So just remember that, and we can take that one off the screen now. Any other deals anyone's aware of at the moment? Clive, have you seen anything in the whole MarTech space for WordPress at the moment at all?
Nothing too exciting, to be honest. I mean, it's kind of cold and barren right now in terms of deals. Across the LTD platforms that we are a part of, and I just feel that hopefully after this kind of blows over in a couple of weeks, we're gonna start seeing a lot more deals, because right now people are just stressing out over small stuff, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It's a busy time of year as well. Over in
Oh,
job,
I have a new kind of a thing in the community. We just launched our new app. So if you're using Android, just search WP Feedback. It's free to use.
Yeah.
And yeah, just download it and come join the party over there. It's been growing pretty cool.
Is this the app for your new social media platform, the
Yeah.
WP Feedback social media platform?
So
So you've got an app now. Awesome.
yeah, so we got the Android down. That's already in the apps in the Google Play Store. Apple will take longer to execute and to approve. They take sometimes months to approve, but this is part of our thing. I understand that if we want people to use this on a daily basis and use this as the way they consume knowledge around the space instead of WordPress or instead of Meetup.com or Reddit or stuff like that, we had to take this step, and that's why it's part of the launch strategy. So for free, go to the Google Play Store and type in WP Feedback and come on board.
Yeah, so this is your community. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Here you go. Here you go. Let me do a little bit of marketing for you.
Beautiful.
There.
Yeah, hit the green button.
Yes, I will. I will. Right here. There we go.
There you go. There's one more.
Awesome.
No, brilliant. So, and your new community, Vito, is kind of almost like an alternative to the Facebook community. As you know, Vito, I've disappeared from all sorts of Facebook groups, and then I reappear, and then I disappear depending on how stressed I am on any given day. And for some reason, I feel like leaving Facebook groups is a way to relieve stress.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't know why. It seems to work, but it seems that with your platform, you're creating a space that has nothing to do with Facebook algorithms. It's purely community driven in there. So
yeah, the idea is like, in what, to your point, this is exactly one of the experiences that all of us face every time that we go into each one of these social platforms, is that you just get distracted and you go on and do whatever that has nothing to do with the initial reason why you jumped in there, wasting time, especially when you're focused on doing some work and you use these tools, these platforms, as a way to gather knowledge. If I have questions, if I need to watch something like this to know what's going on in the space, then I go in for something that is positive, and then I end up watching politics or friends from high school and their kids or whatever, So that kind of experience we want to clean out so that people can actually benefit from being immersed in their profession, because I see like just benefits to being immersed in everything that I ever do. I try to surround myself with that thing. Even in my office, you guys know the wall that I have right before there, and I try to surround myself and immerse myself as much as I can in every new topic that I need to observe, because that's when you live it. When you live it, you can do it without thinking about it. It just becomes part of you. And that's kind of the approach that I'm trying to nurture there, along with some of the other advances. So instead of being a platform that is generic, that doesn't really serve our community, being a tool that is just for us allows us to build functionality that actually serves us, like the feedback tool, the peer-to-peer feedback tool, like the sandbox area where we're bringing in thousands of premium products for people to check out, like the fact that all of our friends, all of the influencers that we know and the value are there to help people and so on. So that, I think that WordPress has matured to a level where, and the industry has matured to a level that there is a need for a platform. Like graphic designers have Dribble, and interior designers have House, and even like stylists have Pinterest or what's it called? There was Etsy and these kind of stuff,
No, that's a really good point, Vito, to be honest, is that you do have platforms for industry types and stuff like that, and I hadn't thought about it myself like that. So yeah, if you go to dopeyfeedback.co, that's right, and you can pretty much sign up within moments using your Facebook login anyway. So super easy to jump in there. You've got almost 1,000 people in there, and a very active people as well. So it's going to go pretty quick, I think. So there's another one of your things of the week you've done there, like building various businesses and
that's like a week and a half old, and we're just about to hit 1,000 people. Yeah.
He'll be fed up a bit by the end of next week.
Yeah, yeah.
No way. There's a strategy.
Exciting news in the WordPress world of jobs. There are no jobs available in WordPress this week. It says right here, nothing this week. So that means there are no jobs in WordPress anywhere.
At all. Yeah.
So kids, try something else. Get into something like that. I wouldn't bother. Maybe there is some jobs somewhere. I don't know. Anyway, that's I think the only other things to mention really is that the Dopey Builds live, the Dopey Builds podcast this week was episode 166, which is called The When and Who of Marketing. And that is another one in the series with David Wormsley and Nathan Wrigley. Who is Nathan Wrigley?
He's gone. He's out.
He used to,
No,
yeah, he
it's
used to
out.
run this thing.
Swimming with the fishes, I told you.
Took it over. They worked through the book Watertight Marketing by Brian E. Thomas, and I think it's on part 8 now, and it's a super series because really you've got Nathan and David, and this isn't any kind of insult to Nathan and David, but they're not the type of people who are listening to who's that dude who's the SEO guru, who's the
Neil Patel.
Yeah, exactly. Like David and Nathan are the opposite of Neil Patel, but they're going through this book, figuring out what's relevant to them and talking about that, which is really good because you can read all these books and just have about 1 million ideas, and they're kind of boiling it down to the basics. And it's a really good series that's worth checking out on there. We're probably not going to really go through the not WordPress news because we've been talking for ages anyway. But apparently, ICANN. This affects us all. ICANN, the people who have something to do with .com domain names. I don't exactly know what it is, but they've just agreed that they can give themselves. They can start charging everybody more for the .com domains, and there's basically nothing that you can do about it. A bit like politicians giving themselves pay rises and voting that in. So that's how I understand that particular story. That
I have some interesting insight around something like this because when Leo and I were in Dublin, we met the guy from .org, and that just kind of like opened my eyes to a complete industry that just happens just under our nose. As web people, we're not even aware that there is this kind of massive industry that pulls the strings behind it when it comes to all of these domains. Yeah. Every domain is a property that is being managed and owned by private organizations. So they can do whatever they want. The fact that .io costs so much is because that's how they decided. And we can see, with some of those premium domains, .london costs about 60 pounds a year compared to like $8 for a .com. So we can, after talking to this guy and really understanding, I was shocked. It's amazing that we've been in this industry for so long, and I wasn't even aware that this is happening behind the scenes. But it seems like it's going to be happening more and more, like increasing prices and seeing more visibility from these bodies so that they can justify themselves, and adding value, but also adding costs.
Yeah. This is probably going to be controversial in what my view is. I'm actually not unhappy with them increasing prices because I think these commodities do need to go up in price. So they're saying 7% per annum. I think it's the way they're doing it makes it a bit difficult because I prefer they did a big chunk. But things have to go up in price, and we've been charging our clients to register a domain. We've charged them the same price for 10 plus years. And while it isn't a great amount of money, it is actually a critical part of the component. And it is time that I've looked at this and I thought it's probably time we actually put our price up on that, because we're still doing that amount of work. And actually, if we do X number of hours a year doing that, that price of doing that has gone up by inflation anyway. So it's a commodity and it needs to go up. Everything else does. And I think sometimes we are very, very guilty of thinking everything on the internet should go down in price. But our staff and ourselves, we want to be paid more. So you can't keep putting the price down to the customer and then wanting to up your own up your own price. So it's difficult. So I'm actually in
Yeah,
a
it
funny
totally
way
makes sense.
not unhappy about this.
No, it seems like a staged price increase anyway. The last one that we'll just briefly talk about is this quite funny one where so Google Maps figures out when there's like gridlock or something in an area based on the phones that it's connecting to. So it's connecting to all the Android phones and figuring out that a whole bunch of Android phones aren't moving anywhere on a road, and as a result, it thinks
I love this
there must be a
story.
traffic jam. So then it
I
puts a
love
red
this
line
story.
on the map. So this chap tried an experiment and put 99 Android phones in a little cart that you can see here and wheeled it backwards and forwards over this bridge
Brilliant.
for slowly at a kind of snail pace for a period of time in Berlin. And he managed to manipulate the Google Maps so that the Google Maps was telling everybody that there's a traffic jam on this bridge, and there wasn't. So it just shows that, you know, we rely on these services, but they're easily manipulatable. As much as Google wants to manipulate us, we can fight back.
Isn't this just reminds me of this is the modern day equivalent of the Italian Job. Do you remember when they were sitting there changing the lights? They got into the computer and changed all the lights to block all the roads in the film.
Yep.
I think it's brilliant. And of course it's, you know, I'd actually, you know, I'd blame all the Israeli technology, because as you know, Google now bought Waze, so it's all that. It's all.
Oh, really?
There.
Did they? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Google bought Waze. It's all now the same. So,
well, I would, if anything, I would use it to create a thing. Is like an artist, right? So, I would try to create some kind of a drawing.
Yeah, this is definitely like. I think this is definitely going to inspire some artists. Yeah,
but it shows you know, that there are so many things you could do with this, not just this, but how you could. I'm not going to say fight back, because that's not really what I mean, but you know, how you can game the system.
Yeah.
Look at him here. Look, there's no traffic, but he's just walking up and down this road on his own.
Yeah, but if he does it on a regular basis at the same time every day, eventually that road's going to be not marked off, and the house prices will go up.
There you go. There's all sorts of ideas there. I think we'll, as Nathan would say, knock it on the head there in terms of the real news. Unless anyone's got anything they want to announce at all. Anybody got anything they want to say? Apart from you, Vito, you've said enough.
No, I'm good.
So what we normally do now is just ask you guys if you're up to anything this week. So start with you, going clockwise. Clev, what are you up to this week? Anything exciting?
Well, everyone's working from home, as far as I'm aware, in the company. We work remotely anyway, so apart from that, nothing much. Actually, nothing much. Hopefully, I can get more time to spend with friends and family.
Good luck. That sounds like a good plan anyway. Vito, how about you, dude?
We have an update coming out today. So right after this, I need to write some change logs and a blog post and all this kind of stuff. And mostly work and, you know, going through the flow of all the bureaucracy of getting the mortgage and all of that with the new house. Exciting week.
Oh, good stuff. Leo?
I'm talking tomorrow evening at WordPress Cardiff, so
awesome.
I'm over at that meetup. So I'm over there. It's been timed. Apparently, I can go to Cardiff tomorrow because Nathan is going to be leaving Wales, so the Storms will move back with him.
Yeah.
So I'm over there tomorrow.
Are you doing one of those live stream sessions like
No, but I noticed that Portsmouth, since I did the talk down there, Portsmouth are live streaming their meetup this week, I think it is.
Great.
So I did see that. So that's happening. So interestingly, that meetups are taking on the idea of streaming things.
Yep.
Although there's always that feeling like, well, the whole idea of a meetup is for the local community to get together. Yeah, that's how I met Vito.
On this live stream here, it says there's a little eye in the corner that says 14, which I assume means there's 14 million people listening to this or watching right now. So that must include hundreds of thousands of people in Wales. So on that basis, Leo, where is it at and what time and what place?
So you can find it on Meetup. It is in Park Place in Cardiff, right opposite the National Museum. and it's myself talking about how I improve my steep patterns with WordPress, and Ian Jenkins from Box UK talking about fun with flags, which I think is probably a reference to the Big Bang Theory. Big Bang, yeah, it's amazing. It's a Big Bang Theory thing. So there you go.
Wow, Box UK.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I almost had a job with them like 20 years ago.
What?
Box UK company, Box
UK.
UK. That was one of my.
They've gone into WooCommerce. They became a
They used to have a
VIP
big
agency
CMS.
for.
They
Sorry?
used to have their own CMS that was very popular and stuff. And I know they have an office in Birmingham and they had one in Cardiff. And I almost had a job with them.
There you go.
Nice.
Years ago. So it's a blast from the past. Well, good luck with that, Leo. Anyway.
Okay, great.
I think that's also done anyway. So
What about you? What are you up to?
Well, I've got a website launching later today. And then tomorrow I need to get as much work into my small team as possible to keep them busy for the rest of the week, because I'm going away for a couple of days to Somerset.
Oh, nice.
To probably get flooded probably again. Another good timed holiday.
That's it. That's what we'll have.
Yeah. So
Okay.
thanks. Yeah, well, thank you everybody for coming on today and taking your time. As Nathan always says, it's super appreciated. And thank you everybody who's listening. And we'll hopefully see you next week.
Bye.
All right. See you later. Bye.